Do you think voters are aware that Australia has a legalised commitment to 80% of renewable energy by 2030? I mean, does the coalition support that?
Mate, I sometimes think some of my colleagues don't realise this, but yes, we've got these now in law commitments. In saying that, I mean, a lot of these laws can't really be enforced anyway, but they're there on our law books, our renewable energy targets, our targets under Paris, of course, for 43% by 2030, and net zero, is crazy idea of net zero by 2050. I mean, notionally, we are still saying in the coalition that we support only a 26 to 28% reduction in emissions by 2030. Yet the Paris Agreement now has us locked in to a 43% cut. And under the Paris Agreement, you can't go backwards. The agreement we signed it. In fact, Greg Hunt and our former government signed it. You can't go backwards under that agreement. So our position now in the coalition is a bit incoherent, because we're saying we only want 28% by 2030. We're saying we support the Paris Agreement. Those two positions are now inconsistent. We've got to choose between them. Either we up the emissions reduction, is crazy 43% reduction that the Labor Party wants, or we get out of the Paris Agreement. And I'm very much on the side of the latter, Alan. This agreement is just rubbish, completely. Just that provision alone shows how silly it is. So let's get out of it. Let's get out of all of these things and do what's best for Australia.
See, Matt, I've had 2 government people on here and 1 coalition person. They'll remain unnamed. And then I played dumb and asked the question. I said, what's the problem here? I mean, you don't want coal? Oh, yeah, you don't want coal. So what is the problem? Carbon dioxide. Oh, yeah. Well, why do you call it decarbonising the country? Carbon's different from carbon dioxide. Oh, well, that's a sort of shorthand way. No, it's an accurate way. But however, if carbon dioxide's the problem, I say to them, how much of it is there out there if it's causing a problem? Not one of them could answer. Absolute science, I don't know. And then I say, well, look, it's 0.04% of the atmosphere. How the hell could this be causing? Per million, yeah. How could this be causing the problems that are attributed to carbon dioxide? So, Matt, you're a scientist. Why does the coalition go down this dumb road of this climate change hoax caused by carbon dioxide, which is 0.04% of the atmosphere? Only 3% of it is contributed to by human beings, and little old Australia is 1.3% of 3% of 0.04%. Do they actually think we're stupid? Someone does. They must.
Well, I don't say I'm a scientist. I'm an economist, which is, I suppose, a poor man's science. But I read enough to know what you're saying is exactly true. That on top of that, of course, that carbon dioxide is only one of very many number of greenhouse gases. And I'll spell out my beliefs here, so to speak, and I don't know why we have to all state our beliefs on these sort of things. It's all very religious. But yeah, I do think it seems that greenhouse gases do warm an atmosphere. That's how the physical atmosphere of the Earth works, and carbon dioxide is one of those greenhouse gases. But as you said, it's only 0.004% of the world's atmosphere, and it's only a very small percentage, only a few percent of actually all the greenhouse gases, most of which is water vapor.
That's it.
And so the scientific impact is here a very long stretch, and it would seem to me that the extreme examples, and as I say, I'm not doubting that more carbon dioxide potentially warms the atmosphere, but it would seem that warming is nothing to panic about. It's certainly not going to lead to, as some of our political leaders suggest, that human beings will become extinct from this doubling of carbon dioxide emissions.
But see, did the coalition...
The science says the direct impact of a doubling of carbon emissions is about 1 degree Celsius increase in the temperature, and that's really nothing really to worry about.
But did the coalition support this legislation that we go to 80% of renewables by 2030? Now, it's law. Now, if I drive down the right-hand side of the road, the police will arrest me because the law says you must drive on the left-hand side. So when the government breaks the law about 80%, of renewables by 2030, who gets arrested? Who gets punished?
We didn't support the government's targets. The government's targets that went through, they did pass through the Senate, but we didn't support them. As I said earlier, we want to roll them back, but we can't. We can't under the Paris. We can't roll them back without leaving the Paris Agreement. So we've got to choose. You got to make a choice here.